Hey there everybody, welcome back. It is Dr. Brian and it is Tuesday. So time for another Tuesday Tidbit where I take close to 10 minutes to try to share some concepts, some perspectives, so that if you're someone that, whether you're a parent or someone that has your own health challenges, whether you want to help your child, just a better understanding of like what health really is all about. And maybe to give you a push in the right direction. I know a lot of times people think about chiropractic and we are historically known to be more of a back pain, neck pain, headache, car accident remedy kind of thing. And perspectives are changing, and they're changing fast with the emerging field of epigenetics, which basically has shown us that your DNA, your genes have nothing to do with your health. That everything that our external and environmental factors have massive importance in how our body will express health or be sick. With this emerging field of epigenetics, chiropractic has taken this, almost want to say the lead in helping patients to understand how the system works, right? And so as a chiropractor, I feel that it is my calling and my duty to be able to share with all of you in as concise and effective a manner as possible. So I'll try not to waste too much more time. But what I want to just start off with is, a lot of times I'm not here trying to tell people that what they're doing is wrong. I know sometimes I had a very fun talk with a parent that came in today, and the conversation was more of like me trying to explain like, hey, this is what I believe. This is how I believe the system works. And I'm not here to convince people how your system works. I'm here to share this information to empower you to understand what your system is capable of and the potential that your system has. And so anyway, the conversation was, I live in your world, when I need it. And I totally understand. Chiropractic has traditionally been looked at as a luxury. But again, now that we're starting to really understand where health comes from, it has just been, an overwhelmingly fun part of my position to be able to share some videos. And so I'm happy to be doing this as regularly as I am. Well, this past weekend, I was at another pediatric seminar. Last month, I was at a parental nutrition and epigenetics one, and so that was massive because for every parent, I think it's your duty to understand how to get the most potential out of your child. And obviously, if there are developmental issues, if there are growth issues, in fact, today the issue that I was discussing with another parent was growing pains. And of course, my son is 7 years old, so there's times where we think that there's such thing as growing pains, whereas to me, this is just vital communication going from your brain to your child's joints, that they need more movement, that they need more awareness, that they need more processing for that growth process that is changing, right? It's a dyskinetic energy, and their body is trying to integrate longer limbs, more weight, more movement, all of it. And so anyway, that was last month. This month, just this past weekend, I finished what was our Perinatal Neuroimmunology seminar. So this one was really heavy. A lot of great information. Again, a very big epigenetic foundation. So again, focusing on the fact that it's not our genes, but it's our environment that will determine our health, our children's health, and even the next generation. So not just my child, but the grandchild's health as well. And so couple of the things that we talked about, one was shifting the focus away from genes and shifting our focus on what is called the microbiome, okay? So essentially, not the DNA that is passed down from mom and dad, but the everyday health of the cells and the system that is keeping those cells healthy. What we focused on very heavily was the connection between the brain and the immune system. So I'm going to dive into that in a moment. That's going to be the meat of what I talk about today. And hopefully I do it justice. And again, I just came off the heels of this yesterday, so I'm going to try to put it together as clearly as possible. But I wanted to read you something because this is what you don't have to read, because I'm going to break it down for you. This was an extract from a journal that was published in August last year. And it talked about a review that showed the interactions between gut microbiota, so your stomach bacteria and living organisms in your stomach, and the host have been focused on to provide an overview of the role of the gut microbiota, the gut environment, and their unique metabolites in creating, it says conferring, but creating host protection, so your own body's protection against pathogens, so viruses, right? Regulation of diverse host physiologic function, okay? So your body's functions internally, which include metabolism, development, and homeostasis of immunity and the nervous system, okay? You guys aren't gonna know any of the, even for me, I read that, I'm like, holy smokes, I better read that slowly. What this is basically saying is, we are taking a microscopic look, this is how important this is, at understanding how healthy the bacteria and organisms in our stomach and the role they play in the nervous system and immune system development of you, and then therefore your child, okay? So check this out. This is epigenetics at its best, okay? So let's hit this first. Children, if they are being born via C-section, okay, what is happening besides physical trauma, number one, is that they're missing out on healthy birth canal secretions, that if you have a natural birth, a baby comes out of the birth canal, and right away they are exposed and inoculated with healthy bacteria. Bacteria that goes into their nose, they inhale it, goes into their mouth. Essentially, this bacteria protects them. It's naturally conferred and translated from the mother to the child, okay? And then as that child develops, this bacteria is the foundation for which that keeps their stomachs, their guts, their internal system healthy. This healthy bacteria is the bacteria that is necessary when they encounter viruses, when they encounter foreign invaders, whatever it happens to be. But so why there's perinatal neuroimmunology, one, we need to understand that if mother is deficient in these things, right? And even during the gestation or the pregnancy process, if we are inhibiting these bacteria, whether we're giving moms antibiotics, whether we're giving moms vaccinations, which in the past didn't even exist and now is happening, we are suppressing their immunity, and that is affecting the fetus, the growth of your baby in utero, okay? And so imagine that, the growth, the health, the immunity of your child is suppressed in utero. What do you think happens when they're born? Are they immuno-ready? Meaning, is their immune system ready, or are they suppressed? Well, most kids will be, their immune systems won't be mature. But if they've at least received the healthy bacteria from their mother during a natural birth process, that's gonna start to confer some of that immunity to the child, okay? So that's one thing, that's one epigenetic factor that plays a role in the health and growth and development of your child. And by the way, that's what I was reading there. When your child is lacking in this microbiota, this healthy bacteria, this healthy internal system, studies are looking at the regulation of physiologic function, which includes metabolism, so your child's ability to digest. If they have colic, indigestion, if they're not feeding well, if they're spitting up, there is something wrong. That's not normal. Remember, we talked about this last week, but it is common because they don't have the bacteria and the growth that they need. They're talking about development. So sometimes kids have neurodevelopmental challenges. That's not normal, but that's common because we're lacking in some of our growth in utero and then right from birth as well. And then we're also talking about homeostasis of immunity and the nervous system. More so now than ever. Allergies are on the rise, asthma is on the rise, ADHD, autism, all of these development, sensory processing things are on the rise. And we think that it's just something that is wrong with the child, when in fact, we are starting to be able to trace this back to the pregnancy process, hence the perinatal neuroimmunology. This is epigenetics again at its best. And also to the birth process itself. So that trauma, which can inhibit or prevent them from getting certain vital, critical bacteria, is not allowing their systems to develop and mature the way that they're supposed to, okay? So I'm gonna wrap this up with one last thing. There is a new safety pin cycle. In chiropractic, there's a basic safety pin cycle which tells us your brain, and all of you hopefully agree, is connected to every single thing in your body, right? Your brain controls everything. I hope you all understand that. And if your brain controls everything, everything controls back to the brain, right? So that we get healthy information going around in a safety pin cycle. If there's a disconnect somewhere, if that safety pin cycle is broken, then there's interference in that communication. Well, there's a new safety pin. And the safety pin is from your brain to your gut. And what we're understanding is that if there are problems in the microbiome because we don't have healthy bacteria from birth and even from being conferred or transferred from mom to the baby, there are inflammatory issues that are going on. Well, guess what? Those inflammatory issues are not staying in the stomach. Our system is designed to do this. If there's problems here, it's shutting down the stomach. It's also shutting down the brain. And now guess what? If the brain is now experiencing stress, it's also conferring messages back down to shut down the gut, okay? So we have this whole population or epidemic of kids that has neurodevelopmental issues, ADHD, ADD, sensory issues, autism, and all they want to eat is junk because it's the one thing that keeps them going because they are in a stressed out state. I'm not gonna go too much further. I'm already hitting about 12 minutes, but I want you all to realize that when it comes to epigenetics and perinatal neuroimmunology, it has everything to do with how your system is developing, and how those things are tied in and processing together. Pretty heavy Tuesday tidbit. From this, I just want you to understand it's not about your genes, it's how you treat your internal environment. Take really good care of it, reduce the stress, the inflammation, create a healthy epigenetic microbiotic environment, and then you can express health the way that it's supposed to be expressed. I hope you all enjoyed. If this has been helpful, please share this with other people because a lot of parents need to understand why the health of our families is suffering. How do we start to connect the dots? This is the beginning. I look forward to sharing a lot more with you this week and next. Take care, you guys.